May 30th, 2020. What do you get when you cross an egregious act of police brutality with a populace bored to tears in the midst of a months-long lockdown and a Twitter-in-chief who just can't keep his thumbs to himself? I'm not sure I have an answer, but this is either the beginning of a bad joke or we may be in for a very long, hot summer. Most of us have probably seen the recorded last moments of George Floyd's life as he was asphyxiated by four Minneapolis cops during an arrest for allegedly passing a fake $20 bill to buy a pack of smokes. It was the latest in a series of racially tinged threats and violence against black Americans that, just this week, also included a white woman calling 911 during a confrontation with a black bird watcher. Yeah, because a member of the Audubon Society armed with a camera may as well be a gangbanger with an AK. And while the outrage over the Central Park bird and dog incident hasn't sparked riots around the country, the Twin Cities death of an unarmed black man has. We are living in, shall we say, an interesting time, what with a president who habitually rekindles racial animosity among his other charms, and a suspension of most normal activities on account of, a worldwide pandemic. Race relations in America have always been tense, to say the least, even when the people and issues involved aren't always black and white, so to speak. Still, it's clear that Donald Trump is, and always has been, a racist. Worse, he's a bigot, which I would describe as racism topped off with a hostile belligerence toward anyone who doesn't look like or agree with him on any matter. Trump's us, really him, versus them mentality, combined with a complete inability to understand that reasonable people may disagree with him, make him an utterly disagreeable and despicable human being. Yes, he's a symptom of the long-standing issues we've swept under the rug for centuries, but his combination of willful ignorance and undeserved arrogance makes him every bit as responsible for the societal divisions we face as are those who have justifiably been judged villains by history. So fuck you, Donald Trump. But back to the riots. To be honest, I'm not quite sure what to make of them. From what little I've seen on TV, many, perhaps the majority, of those involved appear to be young, white, and fairly affluent. In that respect, they're similar to the anti-war demonstrators of the 1960s and 70s, but quite different from those who marched and sat in to demand racial equality during that same era. And although I can't dismiss the possibility that today's protesters are genuinely aggrieved by police actions that absolutely treat black suspects different from whites, I just don't know what to think of the skater boys and graffiti artists who vandalize indiscriminately. I mean, what has CNN ever done to you other than to cover the killings and ensuing riots with a fair amount of sympathy? To paraphrase the Rolling Stones, they went down to the demonstration to give their fair share of abuse. Look, I'm not saying that the looting isn't justified, just that the looters should pick their target, and maybe don't pick Target, especially in Minneapolis. But when elected officials of both parties expect your vote on Election Day, then refuse to address the issues they promised to fix, when police brutality replaces police compassion, when the president insists on tweeting first and not asking questions later, then maybe it's time to take to the streets. It's certainly your right to do so. Bad joke or long hot summer? Ball's in your court.